folks, this is Rob Cabrera up here at the Chop Shop, and Double Star Blades are going to give you guys a little tip on taking care of your Brimstone. I want to start off with giving a few points about this blade that you may or may not know when you purchase it, okay? First of all is that the coating that's on this thing, if you've gotten one that's blacked out, this is a PVD coating. The blade steel is D2. This is a phosphorus washer setup on these particular pivots, and these are G10 scales. So first of all, D2 is not stainless steel, okay? Although it is very close to being stainless steel, it is not stainless steel. And another thing is stainless steel is, none of them are 100% stainless. Everything will oxidize, everything will rust. Under the worst case conditions, it will. So with all that in mind, let's talk about a couple of things. So if this is D2, that means it needs to be well hydrated, well lubricated in order for it to maintain a nice long life that you want to keep. So one thing in particular, we're going to start out with some of the obvious stuff, obvious things. So this being a folder, they love to pick up pocket litter in the way of lint from your pocket. They like to get into pivots. So what I generally like to do is I will use a light solvent and forced air, like from a compressor. What I'll do is I'll hit it with a light solvent, blow the pivot out really well. And again, I do not, unless you're really good with folders, try not to take your folder apart unless you know how to do that, because that's just not going to fare well with you if you're not experienced with dealing with them. If you run into a problem, you're going to run into warranty issues, okay? So what I generally like to do, I don't like working on folders a lot myself unless I really have to. So what I'll do is I'll use a light solvent with forced air, blow my pivot out, and clean the blade really well. A lot of times, if those of you who, if it's a true utility, you're cutting, cutting food, cutting material, you're doing all kinds of stuff. Use a light solvent, clean it off real well, blow it off really well. Be really careful with some of these all-purpose lubricants. A lot of them have greater than 75% mineral spirits in them. And if you're not really careful, if you just spray that onto a blade, listen, that's got a little bit of lubricant in it, but it doesn't really have enough to really protect your blade. And not only that is that mineral spirits will dissolve oil under most conditions, as far as the really good oils that you want to try to keep on your blade. So be really careful with what you use. So what I'll do is I'll use something that's got some solvent in it, blow it off the blade, and then come back in and use a gun oil of some type to hydrate the blade, apply it to your pivots as well, and work it in really well. Another thing is I like using a little bit of WD-40 on my G10 because it does a really good job of hydrating it. If you've got a spray rem oil or something like that, I like that as well. Again, be really careful because sometimes the propellant in the canned stuff has got mineral spirits in it, so just be real careful of that. Another thing, these clips, I have owned folders of all types and sizes. I've shown a video on the Philo page. I like these little driver sets and Loctite. These little driver sets are good for a couple things. They can help you tighten up your pivots or loosen them if you like it just slightly adjusted. Another thing is they usually contain the correct drive or torque size for these clips. If you're having a problem over time with these clips getting loose, listen, go ahead and get yourself a good driver set, put some Loctite on those screws, and be done with it. If you're having a real problem with it, I would recommend using the heavy-duty Loctite, the red stuff. Just understand and know that when you apply that stuff, it's there forever. Okay, man, it's done. It will not be out. You will pretty much strip out the torques on one of these things once you apply that stuff. It's in there for good. So if you're that kind of person where you want it in there permanently, you're good to go. So listen, take care of your blade because it'll take care of you. Keep it clean, keep it well lubricated, clean it off real well once in a while. Like a lot of times if I've got a blade, if you are cutting food with it, Be really careful with the types of oils that you use because you know they could not be. Sometimes if you ingest any of those oils, it's not good for you too. So some guys that I know that do spend time cutting food and stuff like that, they'll usually use a consumable grade oil. I am not above. Sometimes I'll even use a vegetable oil on my blade if there is times I'm going to be cutting food or eating it. You don't want to ingest that stuff, so be really careful with that. So that's just a really quick tip on some stuff that you can do to help extend the life of your Brimstone and the D2 steel that it's made out of. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Have a good one. Bye.